Hello my friend, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. On today's video we are going to be going through 3 different ways that you can use expectations in your photography business to help your clients through their body image insecurities. The first thing you want to consider is that when people are coming in for a photo shoot, that you're not necessarily dealing with them in the present. Who you're dealing with is the past version of them that is terrified to have a photo taken because of a past experience they've had, where they maybe didn't appreciate the photo that they received from a previous photo shoot experience, or maybe even somebody commenting something about a photo that they were in. So they have anxiety from the past, coming into the present. In addition to that, we have the futuristic people who are thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to look terrible in these photos before the photos have even been taken. So your job as a professional photographer is to manage both of these anxieties and help your client feel present. And one of the best ways that we can do this is by providing them with expectations and setting expectations for what they can expect along the way, not just in terms of the experience, though that is important as well, as we'll talk about, but also in terms of what their brain is going to tell them about why they should be doing this, why they shouldn't be doing this, about how it's going to turn out, and how to manage those thoughts altogether. And so one of the biggest things that I've realized is by setting expectations for what the mind is going to do, it helps your client feel empowered to take control when inevitably it does in fact happen. So that's exactly what we're going to cover. We're going to go through the expectations to set before the session even happens, during the session while it's happening, and after when they're about to see their photos. And these expectations are going to not only help your client, but also help you know what to say in order to help your client have an amazing overall experience. So first things first is setting expectations with your clients about all the important things in your business, like what hours do you work, what days do you work, where is parking, what should they wear, and so on. But I want you to take it a step further and try to put yourself in the shoes of a client, especially if you've never been photographed yourself. Go get photographed. All right. So you want to think about all the different possible things that your client could have anxiety about before doing this thing that maybe they've never done before, or it has been done differently. The way I like to explain this to people is that whatever we go to do something, we are comparing it in our brain to something similar to it, and that is what we will base our experience off of. And so if they've gone for photo shoots before with other people, they will have an expectation about the experience based on that previous experience that they've had. And now you don't know if it was a good, bad, positive, or otherwise experience with that first photographer. So it's important for you to make sure that you are nailing every single thing before it even becomes a problem for your client. So, for example, if you are a boudoir photographer watching this and your client has only ever really experienced being in front of the camera in the form of family photography, that is going to be a very different experience, because when you're with your family, chances are when you're having your photos taken, you wear clothes and you're fully covered. You're not having to worry about, taking care of maybe different hair removal systems or things like that, or not that you have to for a boudoir either. But this is the thing, your client's going to have questions about this. And so we want to make it easy for our clients in providing them information about what to expect for a boudoir session, because that is very different than a family session. And so we want to say it's going to be you and me in the studio together. Okay, letting them know that it's going, or if you have other people there, let them know. Are you including hair and makeup? If so, why is this important? Do they need it? Do they have somebody that they prefer to have their hair and makeup done with? Can you offer something instead of hair and makeup? One of the things I started to offer was a skin treatment or hair and makeup, so people could choose depending on their preference, because I personally don't like having my makeup done for photos, but that's just, again, a personal preference. And I only realized that after being photographed by a lot of people. And so you want to set these expectations. Now, the other difference is going to be when it comes to thinking about posing. If in their mind they're so used to doing family photo shoots where maybe they pose the same way all the time for the last like 10 years of family photos where the kids in front of them covering up most of their body, all of a sudden they're going to have anxiety because they're the only one in the photo. What do I do with my hands, you know? And so it's important that we set expectations and let them know, like, listen, I understand that you are not the professional here, but I am. I'm not only going to show you what to do, or I'm not only going to tell you what to do, but I'm also going to show you what to do. So we are going to do this together. And by setting that expectation, you're going to alleviate some of the anxiety they're having about how their body's going to look in photographs, or should they know how to do things, and so on. And this gives you the opportunity to show up and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. Trust me in this process. I don't expect you to know everything because you are not a professional model, unless you're working with professional models. But I am a professional photographer, and I will guide you throughout this entire process. And setting that expectation, you can almost see the shoulders come from here, down, 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 down. The other thing you want to consider doing ahead of time for a photo shoot in order to set proper expectations is have a consultation with your client. And I used to do these in person because I like to get a lot of body image reading. A lot of body language tells me more than sometimes verbally they tell me. So I would be able to bring up certain areas of concern. Like if somebody sits in front of you and they're sitting with their arms covering their stomach, or like their purse on their lap or jacket on their lap, a lot of times that alerts us to the fact that they may be more self-conscious about that part of their body. Now, this isn't always true because sometimes, you know, we just hold things, but more often than not, we do that to cover our tums because we're a bit more self-conscious of it, especially when sitting down. And a client's not going to necessarily always, some do, come out and say, I don't like this part of my body. So it's our job to kind of set the expectation, pay attention to the body language, the energy they're giving off when you're talking about certain things about the photo shoot, and bring attention to it. Bring your client's awareness to, I noticed that you got a little uncomfortable when I said there might be some nudity or implied nudity. Let's talk about that a bit more. And it allows you to develop a deeper communication with your clients about what they can and cannot expect when they work with you specifically. Now, one of the other important things to set when you're setting expectations, maybe before you've even booked a client, is to figure out what they're thinking. What are you thinking in terms of photo shoots? And I do this in a variety of ways. Again, consultations, number one. Number two is through a questionnaire. And this allows me to see if I am, in fact, the best photographer for them. And this goes a long way because you want to make sure that if you are not the best photographer for them, that you do them the right thing by saying, I'm not the best person for this, but let me introduce you to my friend. This is why it pays to be friends with photographers, or at least be respectful of the photographers in your community. I don't want to shoot pinup. I don't like shooting pinup. And if I had to, I would not be good at shooting pinup. So I'm going to refer them to somebody that does it really well, right? I'm managing their expectations around that specific thing. So that is one thing. If we just go into things not really thinking about our clients' anxieties or fears or concerns they might have, we are missing an opportunity to provide invaluable service to them. And what happens then is when we're anxious, if you go back and watch one of my videos about body image, what happens is when we're stressed out, what do we target? Our bodies. So the less stress our clients have coming in, the less worried they're going to be about their body image when it comes time to do the actual photo shoot. All right, so then it becomes time for us to set expectations for during the session. And it's during the session that you are going to experience a lot of anxiety from your client, mostly because they're about to do something maybe they've never done before. And rightly so. And so it's important for us to start off on the right foot and remember that they're going to be comparing this experience to a past experience of being photographed in any capacity. And again, if they're used to a family session that maybe went on for 30 minutes, you want to make sure that they know that their experience is going to last an hour and a half, 2 hours, 8 hours, depending on how long your sessions take. Set the expectation for them because in their mind, they're comparing it to what they already know. The second thing is set expectations around the hair and makeup process. Most of my hair and makeup artists already know that their client's going to apologize for just existing the way that they are. You know, this is just what being a socialized woman is like, where we apologize for the way our face looks, for the hair on our chin, for the hair on our head. We apologize for everything. But if your client is unaware of how long hair and makeup normally takes, they're going to think that they're the problem. Again, I rarely wear makeup, and then when I do, it takes me like maybe 15 minutes. So when hair and makeup takes an hour and a half, the first time I had it done, I was like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my face? What is wrong with my hair? I'm the problem. It's me. Right. And that doesn't help them when they're about to jump into taking their clothes off for a photo shoot or to be in front of the camera. So we want to make sure that we're letting them know exactly how long things are going to take, what to expect in terms of that. One of the things that I encourage my hair and makeup artists to do as well is to continually check in with the client, make sure they are satisfied with the way that the makeup is looking, but trusting the process that it will come together at the end. And in my contract, I have it very clear that if they do not like the hair and makeup, like if they have any issues with it at all, they must let me know before they start the shoot. And I reiterate this to them during the day of the session because most people are afraid of confrontation and they don't want to upset the makeup artist. So I let them know in front of the makeup artist that if they have a problem with something, that they can let us know, because if we don't know something is wrong, then we can't fix it, and we want to make sure this is the best experience for them. So that's the first thing. And then it comes time to do the actual photo shoot itself. And this is, again, is where it's really important for you as the photographer to pay attention to body language. And now, again, our client's going to be concerned about not knowing how to pose. Do I smile? Do I not smile? How does my outfit look? Does this look okay? And they're going to be in their head overthinking everything. So this is your opportunity to say, hey, listen, I know you're not a professional model, but I am a professional photographer. I'm not only going to tell you what to do, I'm going to show you as well. So just mimic me, do what I'm doing, and we're in this together, and I got you. And make eye contact with them when you let them know. And the other important thing to let clients know during the session is that they have full autonomy to stop the shoot at any time. And if you notice that clients are kind of like getting in their head or they're dissociating from the experience, in that moment, it's really important that you set your camera down and you say, hey, I noticed XYZ about your, the way you felt about this pose or whatever. Do you mind if we just have a little chat about it? And alternatively, when you notice them like really enjoying a pose or getting into the movement or feel, like bring them into the present there and say, hey, I noticed when we did, when you held the flowers this way, your face just lit up so beautifully. And so bring them back into it. But one of my favorite questions to ask during the photo shoot is, if I notice that they're getting like a little nervous laughter, or they're feeling squidgy, or I can tell they're thinking about the future or the past, I'll say, what do we need to do to make you feel calm and safe right now? Like, what are the concerns that you're having that are causing, to feel this way right now? And just talk it out. And I know a lot of people are afraid to, a lot of photographers maybe are afraid to have this conversation because you don't know. You're not a therapist. You don't know how to heal. Listen, you don't need to heal anything. The best skill that you need to have is learning how to hold space and make room to invite their anxiety into the room. So you could say, okay, what do you need right now from me as your photographer? This might mean your sessions go a bit longer. This might mean that you need to stop for a little bit. This might mean you need to take a breath, but your client's always going to remember how you made them feel, right? And that's the most important piece, and expectations can help with that. If you just like push on through, not really paying attention to what their needs are, you're going to find yourself in a situation where the client does not have a good experience. And I've done this myself where I'm like, well, I'm the photographer, I know best. Like, let me just tell you what to do, instead of actually paying attention to my client's needs and doing what they needed me to do for them in that moment. So the best thing you can do is just show up for them and set the expectations around how a session standardly goes, but also be open to it changing course if needed for your client's comfort level. Okay, and constantly reminding them the expectation you need to set. The biggest one you need to set is that you have full autonomy to say no to anything we do in this space. You have full autonomy to choose what outfits you wear today. You have full autonomy during this whole experience, and let them know, say the thing that most people are afraid to have, that confrontational talk. But listen, I need you to know this is a safe space, because again, I can't fix something or I can't make it better if I don't know what is wrong in the first place. So just like making them feel safe that they could ask for their needs to be met, which is like a really hard thing for people to do normally, it's going to empower them that much further when they leave the experience that they can ask for their needs to be met in a safe space. Okay. Then the final time they've done the photo shoot, they left on this amazing high, they feel super good about themselves, and then they're coming back in for their reveal. And now whether you do same day reveals or they're coming back at a later date, the anxiety is still going to be super present. And this is where I find that you actually experience most of the anxiety. After the experience is done and maybe they haven't seen the back of your camera and they haven't seen the photos, their brain is like, oh God, it has the vulnerability hangover that Brene Brown talks about. They just did this thing that was completely out of their comfort zone, and now they're like replaying it back. Oh, that felt really stupid when I did that. That probably looks terrible. And all the negative thoughts have just seeped in. So this is your opportunity as the professional to create a really amazing, inclusive experience for your client. So that way, when they go to see their photos, they don't feel bad either way that they react. So I have a whole list of different expectations I set, which I'm going to link in the description below, so you can go check those out if you want exactly what my expectations are. But essentially, the expectations I set here are the main things of, number one, when you look at the photos, your natural inclination is going to be to narrow in on some part of your body that you've been honing in on your whole life. These photos are going to be no different. So when you do that, I need you to catch yourself and pull yourself back to look at the entire photo, because we miss context when we're only focusing on this tiny part of ourselves. And we don't do that to our friends. Right? When your friend shows a photo, you're not like, ooh, look at that pore on your cheek. No, you're like, oh my God, you look amazing. You look so happy. You look so confident. This is a beautiful photo of you. And so we need to train ourselves to do that with our own images. And one way we do this is by being aware that we're going to narrow in and then pull our focus back. And now you're teaching them a kind of a tool or resource that they can apply after the photo shoot when their friends take photos of them or things like that. They'll know, like, okay, I know I'm going to narrow in, so I want to pull myself back to look at the entire photograph. And then I'll add in some filler questions like, who were you with? How were you feeling? What were you wearing? Did it remember the experience? The other one of the other expectations I set with my client is however you react is a total normal reaction. And this is really important because clients, of course, when you're stressed out, will be in a state of reaction as opposed to responding. If they are somebody that doesn't know how to maybe manage their emotions, when they're coming in, they're already nervous and anxiety is really high, which means they have tunnel vision right now. Everything's going to be looking for negativity. And we want to make sure that if they get caught in a state of flight or freeze, that they they understand that that's normal, because the reactions we normally like see photographers will post are the ones where clients are like, oh my god, I look amazing, ah, and those are usually our fighters, like people that are more visceral in a reactionary sense. But I would say like 98% of my clients sat there and were like, wow, like overwhelmed, almost, they couldn't believe it was them, or like their brain just stopped, it froze. And what I noticed happening is that clients would think that something must be wrong, because our brain then goes into, oh god, I'm not reacting like those other people I saw reacting, so something must be wrong. Oh my god, I look terrible in photos. So immediately their brain like skews to the right and is like, oh no, it's me, I'm the problem. You can see a common theme here with everything that goes along. So if I can prepare my client for the fact that, hey, listen, there's a multitude of different ways you can react to seeing your images. However you react is totally normal. Sometimes your brain needs time to catch up. Sometimes your brain wants to like scream and shout and cry. Sometimes your brain will disassociate. All of it is valid. All of it is okay here. And by setting that expectation, it takes the pressure off of the client for having to respond in a certain kind of way. And then when it happens, they're not surprised. And then they don't go down that train of thought like, something must be wrong, I look terrible in photos. And then the other third, there's a few more that I set, but these are the three main ones. The third one is really important. And this is where I say, I don't expect you to love any of the photos I'm about to show you today. And I think this has been one of the most game-changing expectations for me to set before a client sees their photo, because you can see them be like, wait, what? And I say, not because the photos aren't beautiful, because I think they're beautiful, otherwise I wouldn't be showing them to you. This is how I see you. This is how I saw you that day. These are the parts of you that I think are beautiful. But I also understand that everybody comes to the table with their own body image insecurities, body image beliefs. And for me to expect to undo that in a day is not realistic. And so if for some reason you don't like any of these photos, or you don't love these photos, that's also okay, because you did the thing that scared you. I just want you to know that somebody thinks these parts of you are beautiful. And in that moment, you can almost see them like, oh God, like they relax a bit, because I'm saying like, I'm not going to show you photos that are terrible. Like, I'm going to show you photos that I truly believe are beautiful. It's counterintuitive for me to do something else. And because humor's my thing, I'll also be like, I'm a bit of a cocky bitch. The work I'm showing you is good. Like, I wouldn't be showing you work that's shitty. You know, I'm consistently good at what I do. The work that I'm showing you is how I saw you that day, how I saw the light that day, how all the pieces came together. And I think these are beautiful images of you and you look amazing. However, if you've thought one specific way about your body, or if you came in here thinking your stomach's going to look gross or your arms are going to look gross, then yeah, they will, because you've already decided before you've even seen the photo. So it doesn't matter how good the photos actually are. If you have your mind set on seeing something, that's exactly what you're going to see. And so I would rather talk about it. So if in the event that you don't like certain photos, or you don't like all the photos or any of the photos, I want you to know that I'm confident enough in my work to be okay to stop the reveal for us to talk about it, and then I can help you process the feelings that you're experiencing. And that has been the biggest game changer in my entire experience. And this is where you as the photographer, it is so important, so important for you to be confident in the work that you're showing your client, because at some point you will be masterful at your craft, that objectively, the photos you've taken are beautiful, are lovely, are perfect, and you're going to have a client that doesn't see it. And if you make it about you, oh, how could I have done more? How could I have made these photos better? How could I have shown up more for the client? You're not making space for them. And the whole point is that this experience is about them, not you. So that's where you need to set your ego aside and say, objectively, these are beautiful photos. What do you need from me right now? Like, let's talk about why you think your stomach looks bad in these photos. Where did you learn that? Who taught you that? These are the best questions. I'll have a whole video on questions later. But essentially, let's get curious together and figure out where this started. I'm not saying you have to take the photos. I'm not saying you have to love the photos. I'm just saying what a great opportunity for us to discover where your body image journey is, right? And so those expectations make a huge difference, because our client comes in, and if they're like, my favorite quote ever is, a disappointment happens disappointment is the gap between expectation and reality, by John Maxwell. I'm certain I've said that on a video before. But it is one of my favorite, because that's exactly what happens. A client comes in, they're like, oh my God, so-and-so, my friend had a photo shoot with you and they loved all their photos. So now they're coming in, I'm going to love all my photos. Guess what? They might not, because they have a totally different body image journey, and that's okay. We need to let people know that they're okay to not love everything. And if they do, great. But if they don't, they're not going to feel weird or bad or silly. And more importantly, they're not going to fake a thanks, I like them, and then go cry in their car. That is the last thing you want as a photographer. So put your ego on the shelf and make space for your client to react and feel however they feel, and let them know that this is just what their brain's going to do. And to be okay with whatever happens. Be open to the outcome. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. If again, like I said, I have questionnaires, scripts, expectations, a whole bunch of good stuff for you to like implement these things in your own voice to your client, to help them through the process of managing their body image insecurity, their mindset through the entire process, from booking the session all the way to the reveal, to make sure it's an amazing experience for them. So go check those out, and let me know how it goes for you. Just start being curious with your clients and setting expectations, and watch it change everything for you. Like, that is one of the biggest things that I got told in my feedback forms, I always send questionnaires, is that Terry gave complete direction. I always knew what was happening, and I never felt out of the loop at any point. I knew exactly what to expect from start to finish. Amazing. That's what you want. Mitigate as many anxieties as you possibly can, so that way you can really have a powerful connection with your clients and give them an experience that is unparalleled, essentially. Okay, beautiful. Thank you, my friend, so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.